Hello everyone, friends. You're on the Cryptodeal channel and we have a new episode. So today, we'll figure out what important things happened in the crypto market this week. Well, now get comfortable and let's see what interesting things I've prepared. 𝗏 staking at 20% per annum. And the first news will be for those who like their coins to work rather than just lying as dead weight. And we're going to talk about the long-suffering 𝗏 ecosystem. And now the network is actively discussing the possibility of staking 𝗏 at 20% per annum, and that's instead of the usual 3 to 4% that was there before. However, it's logical that such conditions are primarily intended to attract new users to the coin and retain old ones. Because while your coins are in staking, you cannot sell them, and at the same time, of course, don't forget that 20% is not a fixed rate and it can fluctuate. And if you enter LP token farming, for example, the 𝗏/USDT pair, then remember about impermanent loss. In other words, if 𝗏 rises sharply, then the staking yield will decrease accordingly and may become less than the same yield that would be in dollars. But if 𝗏 hangs in a sideways trend or grows slowly, in that case, staking may turn out to be justified. In any case, you need to remember the risks, especially when it comes to 𝗏. Don't forget that over the past 2 years it managed to fall by almost 80%, and it's not a fact that it was able to reach the bottom. Bitcoin stormed 78,000 per coin. And moving on to the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin was finally able to overcome the 75,000 mark and at the moment reach 78,000. Moreover, growth of more than 10% in just one day. In addition to the obvious inflow of funds into ETFs and institutional interest, the positive dynamics are accompanied by news that Tehran has opened the Strait of Hormuz to all commercial vessels until the end of the ceasefire period. Bitcoin is not the only asset that has grown significantly against such a background. Major US stock indices also rose. And of course, gold. Its growth is comparable to Bitcoin. Technically, the picture is clear. We passed the key resistance zone at 74,000, which we couldn't break through for a month. And now Bitcoin is testing the level of 78,500 per coin. If the bulls can hold it over the coming week, then we'll head toward testing the 80,000 mark. And from there, alt season might be just around the corner. Or maybe a ground operation happens and then perhaps we could drop down to 65,000 per coin. The RAVE token, massive gains out of nowhere. What was that? And now for the news that's shaken up CoinMarketCap and beyond. The RAVE token skyrocketed 50 times in a week and broke into the top 30 global rankings on CoinMarketCap. And as you can imagine, a 50x gain in a single week is an incredibly strong result. And it turns out it's the RAVE DAO project. They're positioning themselves as a Web3 platform. But let's be real here, the token has already pumped and further growth is highly unlikely. For now, it looks like a classic case of pump and marketing. A retweet from Donald Trump Jr. back in December of last year, he retweeted news about this token's listing and that gave the green light for all sorts of speculation. It's also worth noting the very low liquidity of the coin. Most likely, the bulk of the trading volume was concentrated on 1 or 2 DEX platforms, which allowed market makers to drive the price sky high with minimal effort. And the advice here is quite simple. If you didn't get in before the coin took off, it's already too late to do so now. As you know, these pumps have a flip side, where the coin experiences a significant crash, sometimes by 70% or even as much as 90%. The Trump and Melania tokens are proof of that. A stablecoin backed by the UN. 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏, the head of Circle, those are the guys who issue USDC, the second largest stablecoin by market cap, made a very bold statement. He believes that stablecoins backed by the Chinese yuan have massive potential. According to him, China wants to expand its currency's global role and make it easier through crypto stables. 𝗓𝗓𝗓 predicts that within 3 to 5 years, China will launch its very own stablecoin. And right now, we're used to 99% of stablecoins being USD. Alt season is coming. Inside, look at a Fed candidate's portfolio. One of the top candidates for the head of the Fed has revealed his personal investment portfolio. And get this, there's a huge share of altcoins in there. Not just the S&P 500 index, but Ether, Sol, and a couple more promising Layer 1 projects, which could provide a nice boost for growth. but that won't be happening in the immediate future. So, in the foreseeable future, an alt season isn't on the horizon for us. Even though Bitcoin has shown some solid growth this week on the news agenda, all of this could change very, very quickly. So for now, let's maintain some cautious optimism. Don't forget to join our community and let us know in the comments what topics you'd like to see in the next episode and which coins you're watching. That's all for today. See you soon. Talk soon.